In the heart of basketball's golden era, Shaquille O'Neal stood as an unstoppable colossus, a towering presence that left opponents gasping for breath. His sheer size, 7 feet 1 inch, and his formidable weight of nearly 325 pounds made him unguardable, defying conventional defensive strategies with every step. The question is not just how terrifying he was to face during his prime, but also why professional basketball had to adapt its tactics and rulebook to accommodate the behemoth. When O'Neal stepped onto the Orlando Magic court in 1992, the NBA faced an unprecedented challenge. Teams scrambled to devise methods to neutralize his dominance, yet none proved successful against his physical prowess. As his career progressed, particularly when he joined the Los Angeles Lakers, the league found itself reshaping its defenses around his exploits. Zone defense rules were modified, and the infamous hack-a-Shaq tactic became a routine part of the game, demonstrating the magnitude of the problem O'Neal posed to teams across the league. Shaquille O'Neal, often simply referred to as Shaq, entered the National Basketball Association in 1992 as part of the Orlando Magic's draft class. At an imposing height of 7 feet 1 inch and weighing approximately 325 pounds, he quickly became one of the most dominant forces in basketball history. His physical presence alone redefined the way games were played, leading teams across the league to develop innovative strategies and tactics to deal with his exceptional size and athleticism. From the outset of his career, Shaq's sheer size created significant challenges for opposing teams. Players found it nearly impossible to guard him one-on-one effectively due to his towering frame and powerful build. This not only made him difficult to contain, but also provided him with a unique advantage that allowed him to control the paint and dominate around the rim. In the early years of his career, Shaquille O'Neal faced numerous double teams, as coaches and players attempted to mitigate his impact on the game. However, these efforts were largely unsuccessful. Double-teaming Shaq proved problematic because it left other areas of the court vulnerable, often opening up shooting opportunities for his teammates or creating mismatches elsewhere on the floor. Furthermore, even when double-teamed, Shaq's ability to manipulate defenders and find gaps in defenses made it difficult for opponents to fully neutralize his threat. As O'Neal progressed through his career, the NBA itself was forced to adapt its defensive rules to address his unrivaled power and size. In response to his relentless dominance, the league introduced modifications to zone defense strategies, aiming to better counteract his effectiveness. These changes included altering the spacing requirements within zones, tightening the distance between defenders, and refining the positioning of help defenders.
Pause this for a second because I want you to do something with your phone right now. Open your settings and look up your screen time. Not mine, not the average, yours. Whatever number you just saw, that is the number nobody pays you for. Every week, on repeat. Now take that same number and put it inside an app that pays real money for watch time. Same number of hours, same videos, same couch. The only new thing on the screen is a counter. Finish a video and it adds to your balance. Start the next one and it adds again. Not a raffle, not gambling, no credit card, and nothing to pay to get started. You go through the link, download it, and make the account with one email in under a minute. You confirm, and you are inside. That is the entire setup. And you do it once. Then you open the list of available videos and watch exactly the way you were already watching. Just respect one rule. Let the video finish. A video you close early does not count. When your balance hits the minimum, you tap withdraw, confirm, and request the money. And look at your screen time again. Most of it is not one long session. It is dead minutes. And look at that number honestly, because most people flinch at it. It is not a small number, and it has been that size for years. Now here is the part that stings. Nobody had to steal those hours from you. You handed them over voluntarily every evening without being asked. The fix is not discipline, and it is not a new routine. It is one download, one email, and under a minute of setup that you never repeat. After that, your screen time number stays exactly the same. That is the point. What changes is whether it produces anything. And most of that number is not one long session on the couch. It is scattered minutes, the line, the bus, the wait, the bed. Those scattered minutes only count if you let each video finish, so do not swipe away at the last second out of habit. Check the number again next week. Same hours, same phone, and a balance sitting there that did not exist 7 days earlier. The line, the bus, the waiting room, the 10 minutes before you sleep. That is where it hides. The link is pinned in the first comment below this video. Tap it while the number is fresh. If you are watching on a big screen, point your phone camera at the code instead. Everyone has that number. Very few people ever decide to charge anything for it. I am not telling you to spend more time on your phone. Spend exactly the same. That is the point. No new habit, no extra hours, no learning anything new. Check that number again in a week and see if it still means the same thing to you. Your screen time is going to say the same thing next Sunday. Only the payout can change.
One particularly notable strategy that emerged during this period was the hack-a-Shaq tactic. Employed primarily against the Lakers during their championship runs from 2000 to 2002, this defensive approach involved drawing fouls by repeatedly challenging Shaq's shots. This tactic aimed to limit his scoring output, while also putting him at risk of disqualification if he received too many personal fouls. The hack-a-Shaq strategy became infamous for both its effectiveness and the controversy it generated, with some critics arguing that it undermined the spirit of the game. Despite these challenges, Shaquille O'Neal continued to thrive, leading his team to 3 consecutive championships with the Los Angeles Lakers from 2000 to 2002. His performance during these titles further solidified his legacy as one of the most dominant centers in NBA history. After his stint with the Lakers, O'Neal moved on to the Miami Heat in 2004, where he won an additional title in 2006, demonstrating his enduring impact on the sport well into his later career. Throughout his career, opponents and teammates alike recognized Shaquille O'Neal's unguardable nature. His physical presence and ability to dominate the paint created a formidable challenge for any player or defense, contributing significantly to his reputation as one of the most feared players in basketball history. The summer of 1992 marked the beginning of Shaquille O'Neal's NBA journey, as he stepped onto the court for the first time with the Orlando Magic. Standing at an imposing 7 feet 1 inch tall and weighing around 325 pounds, O'Neal immediately challenged traditional notions of size and skill on the basketball court. His physical presence alone made him unguardable. Players and coaches alike quickly realized they needed to adapt their strategies just to match his sheer bulk. O'Neal's initial impact on the league was evident from his rookie year, but it wasn't until joining the Los Angeles Lakers in 1996 that he truly transformed into a force that no team could ignore. The Lakers had been searching for a championship contender since their last title in 1988, and O'Neal arrived with the promise of delivering exactly that. Over the next 3 seasons, O'Neal led the Lakers to consecutive championships in 2000, 2001, and 2002. With each victory, the challenge of guarding O'Neal grew more complex. Opposing teams struggled to keep up, often resorting to zone defenses to compensate for the difficulty of man-to-man coverage. However, even these adjustments were not foolproof. He moved so fluidly, almost like a guard. The effectiveness of O'Neal's presence was further highlighted by the development of the hack-a-Shaq tactic. This strategy aimed to wear down opponents by deliberately fouling them around the free throw line, hoping to disrupt their rhythm and confidence. While initially seen as a legitimate defensive approach, this tactic eventually became overused and widely criticized within the league. The impact of O'Neal's dominance extended beyond individual games. It also influenced rule changes across the NBA. Recognizing the need for balance, the league began to reevaluate its policies, aiming to ensure that no single player could dominate to such an extent that it stifled other aspects of the game. Through his 4 championships, 3 with the Lakers and 1 with the Miami Heat in 2006, O'Neal left an indelible mark on the history of the NBA. His physical prowess, combined with strategic brilliance, made him a legend whose legacy continues to be studied and revered by current and future generations of basketball players. In today's NBA landscape, the echoes of Shaquille O'Neal's legendary reign continue to reverberate through locker rooms and arenas across the country. While the league has grown significantly in terms of global reach and technological advancements, the sheer physicality and dominance displayed by O'Neal during his peak remain unparalleled. Players entering the league today are often reminded of their predecessors like O'Neal through rigorous training regimens and historical studies. In interviews, many current players mention how they prepare to handle mismatches similar to those faced against O'Neal. They detail the relentless focus on footwork, positioning, and mental fortitude needed to navigate such formidable opponents. Teams still grapple with the legacy of the hack-a-Shaq tactic, which saw opposing teams deliberately fouling O'Neal late in games to limit damage. This strategy, while effective at times, sparked debates about fair play and sportsmanship. The controversy surrounding it led to discussions within the league about rule changes that could both maintain competitive balance and preserve the integrity of the game. Recent statistics reveal that even as the sport evolves, the frequency of rim protectors and defensive specialists remains high. These positions were designed specifically to deal with players of O'Neal's stature and playing style. Players discuss how these roles have adapted over time, emphasizing quicker reaction times and strategic positioning to counter such powerful forces on the court. Coaches continue to draw upon strategies developed during O'Neal's era when preparing for star players. They share stories of practices where specific tactics were employed to simulate playing against a 7-foot, 325-pound behemoth. These exercises aim not only to train players, but also to instill respect for the physical and strategic challenges posed by exceptional athletes like O'Neal. The impact of O'Neal's dominance extends beyond just his individual performances. It shaped the overall fabric of the NBA. His tenure prompted continuous rule changes and adaptations that continue to influence how the game is played today. As new generations of players rise through the ranks, they are keenly aware of their role in upholding this legacy while pushing the boundaries of what is possible on the basketball court. The impact of Shaquille O'Neal's size and athleticism extended far beyond the basketball court, shaping not just the game itself, but also how it was perceived by audiences across the nation. His unique physicality introduced new dimensions into defensive strategies that teams had to adapt to almost overnight, forcing a reevaluation of traditional guard play tactics. O'Neal's ability to operate as both a center and a power forward challenged the very fabric of team formations and player roles within the league. Teams were forced to rethink their lineups and rotations, often experimenting with smaller guards and forwards who could match his pace on the perimeter while maintaining size inside. This shift towards flexibility in roster construction paved the way for future players like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, who have similarly transformed positional boundaries. On a broader scale, O'Neal's reign contributed significantly to the NBA's rise as a global spectacle. His intimidating presence, combined with his charismatic personality and off-court antics, brought an unprecedented level of media attention and fan engagement. Television ratings soared during his tenure, with primetime slots dedicated to games featuring the legendary center. This increased visibility helped solidify the NBA's status as one of the premier sports leagues worldwide, attracting international talent and expanding its cultural reach. Moreover, the hack-a-Shaq strategy, a series of intentional fouls designed to disrupt his scoring, became a lightning rod for debate around fairness and sportsmanship. The tactic drew criticism from players, coaches, and fans alike, arguing that it disrespected the game by reducing basketball to a simple act of punishment. Ultimately, the controversy led to rule changes that aimed to balance defensive strategies with the integrity of the sport, setting new precedents for how leagues address similar issues in the future. For current and aspiring players, O'Neal serves as both an inspiration and a cautionary tale. While many cherish the physical challenges and mental fortitude required to guard him, the legacy of his dominance also underscores the need for constant innovation and adaptation within the sport. Coaches and analysts continue to study his movements, mechanics, and strategies, using this knowledge to develop new training methods and defensive schemes. In essence, Shaquille O'Neal's career stands as a testament to the evolving nature of professional basketball. His unmatched size and agility not only reshaped the physical landscape of the game, but also influenced its cultural and economic dimensions. As the NBA continues to grow and adapt, the memory of Prime Shaq remains a touchstone, forever altering the way the world perceives and plays the sport. In the early 1990s, when Shaquille O'Neal first entered the NBA with the Orlando Magic, the league grappled with how to defend against his unmatched size and agility. Coaches often found themselves at a disadvantage, as O'Neal's ability to move with fluidity and power made him an unguardable force. As he transitioned from the college game, where his physical prowess had already been evident, to the professional level, the challenge became more pronounced. The Lakers, recognizing O'Neal's potential, brought him aboard after the 1995 to 1996 season. Pat Riley, then head coach of the Lakers, spoke openly about adapting the team's strategy around O'Neal. As the years progressed, O'Neal's dominance led to the development of the hack-a-Shaq tactic. This defensive maneuver involved deliberately fouling him near the free throw line, hoping to wear down his stamina and increase foul trouble. Despite its effectiveness, this approach drew criticism both within the league and among fans who felt it detracted from the purity of the sport. In response, the National Basketball Association, NBA, began considering rule changes. The league office engaged in discussions aimed at finding a balance between maintaining competitive balance and ensuring fair play. Richard T. Schmidt, the NBA's senior vice president of league operations, addressed these concerns publicly. O'Neal's impact extended beyond individual games. He influenced how future generations of players prepared for mismatches. Coaches emphasized the importance of footwork, positioning, and mental fortitude when facing similar physical opponents. The legacy of Shaquille O'Neal also shaped ongoing rule adaptations and training practices across the league. His presence on the court pushed the boundaries of what was possible in terms of size and strength, prompting continuous evolution in defensive strategies and playing styles. As the years passed, the league continued to refine its approaches, reflecting the dynamic nature of professional basketball and the enduring influence of one of its most imposing figures. In summary, O'Neal's unmatched physicality forced the NBA to rethink its approach to defense and fouling tactics. Through his dominance, the league adapted rules and methodologies, shaping not only the way teams played, but also influencing the overall landscape of the sport. In the annals of basketball history, Shaquille O'Neal remains one of the most formidable players ever to take the court. As teams and coaches sought new ways to counter his dominance, the challenge escalated into a tactical battle that reshaped the game itself. By the time he joined the Los Angeles Lakers in 1996, O'Neal had already earned a reputation as an unguardable force, moving like a guard despite standing at 7 feet 1 inch tall. His presence on the floor was so overwhelming that teams were forced to adapt their strategies to accommodate this physical mismatch. One such adaptation involved the infamous hack-a-Shaq tactic, which saw opponents deliberately fouling him near the free throw line. The strategy aimed to disrupt his rhythm and reduce the impact of his scoring capabilities, but it backfired spectacularly. In 2000, during the second game of the Western Conference Finals against the Utah Jazz, O'Neal went an astounding 38-4-41 from the free throw line, helping the Lakers secure a crucial victory. This performance underscored just how effective O'Neal could be when left undisturbed by the defensive pressures imposed upon him. The frequency of these intentional fouls not only tested the physical limits of O'Neal, but also challenged referees to maintain consistency. As the season wore on, it became clear that the tactic was not sustainable, both for its ethical implications and its effectiveness. In response, the NBA implemented rule changes, including increasing the spacing around the free throw line extension and restricting the time defenders could stand in front of O'Neal. These adjustments did little to diminish O'Neal's dominance. Instead, they highlighted the need for future players to develop advanced footwork and positioning skills, as well as mental fortitude to handle such intense pressure. Coaches across the league began incorporating drills designed specifically to prepare guards and centers to navigate through spaces filled with larger opponents. For instance, the Miami Heat, under the guidance of coach Pat Riley, emphasized teamwork and positional flexibility to complement O'Neal's inside presence. Players faced O'Neal's imposing stature with varying levels of success. While some were intimidated and struggled to find solutions against his size and athleticism, others developed strategies tailored to exploit his weaknesses or simply outsmarted him through superior ball handling and agility. One such example is the 2001 NBA Finals, where the New Jersey Nets tried a zone defense, aiming to limit O'Neal's impact by focusing more on perimeter play. Although this strategy initially worked, O'Neal's ability to break down defenses and score from unconventional angles eventually led to the Lakers securing their second consecutive championship that year. As the legacy of Shaquille O'Neal continues to influence modern basketball tactics and training practices, coaches and analysts frequently refer back to his career to illustrate the importance of adaptability and innovation in defending against dominant forces. The hack-a-Shaq tactic, while effective in its time, ultimately contributed to broader discussions about fair play and the balance between physicality and skill in professional sports. By 2001, Shaquille O'Neal's dominance had reached its peak, making him an unguardable presence on the court. Experts began to analyze his unparalleled effectiveness, drawing attention to his unique combination of size, strength, and agility. The Orlando Sentinel reported that O'Neal's first contact, marked by his explosive footwork and quick changes of direction, left opposing players struggling to maintain their defensive positions. His ability to score with both hands and his knack for finishing at the rim made him nearly impossible to guard consistently throughout games. As teams adapted to O'Neal's physical prowess, the Los Angeles Times noted that the New Jersey Nets attempted to counter with a zone defense strategy. However, even this approach proved ineffective against the former Miami Heat star. The hack-a-Shaq tactic, which became a staple of defending against O'Neal during the Lakers' championship runs, gained notoriety despite its failure. In a 2000 NBA Finals matchup, O'Neal made 38 out of 41 free throws in a crucial game against the Indiana Pacers, effectively neutralizing the intentional fouling strategy. Throughout these years, O'Neal's playing style continued to influence the development of modern basketball. The Washington Post highlighted how coaches now prioritize teaching players to anticipate O'Neal's movements and adapt their footwork accordingly. By the time Shaquille O'Neal completed his three-peat with the Lakers in 2002, his legacy as an unguardable force had solidified. Teams were forced to rethink their defensive strategies, leading to advancements in both physical training and mental preparation. O'Neal's dominance not only reshaped individual playing styles, but also broadened the scope of team defense, ensuring that his impact on the game extended far beyond the records he set during his prime. By the dawn of the new millennium, Shaquille O'Neal had established himself as a force that few could challenge. His physical presence alone, standing at 7 feet 1 inch and weighing nearly 325 pounds, was intimidating enough. However, it was his ability to move like a guard, making quick cuts and changing directions on the fly, that made opposing players face their deepest fears. In the aftermath of the Lakers' 3 consecutive championships from 2000 to 2002, other teams scrambled to find solutions against O'Neal. One of the most notable attempts came during the 2001 to 2002 season when the New Jersey Nets attempted to implement a zone defense strategy. The idea was to spread out defenders and use teamwork to limit O'Neal's impact inside the paint. But this tactic proved ineffective. The Nets struggled to contain O'Neal's imposing frame and swift movements, often conceding easy baskets in the process. The hack-a-Shaq tactic, which involved fouling O'Neal intentionally to reduce his points per game average, also became an overused strategy. This approach backfired spectacularly for the Los Angeles Clippers in January 2001, where O'Neal went 38, 4, 41 from the free throw line during one game. This performance led to significant rule changes, including stricter enforcement of defensive fouls, to mitigate such strategies. As the years progressed, Shaquille O'Neal's dominance continued to influence basketball tactics across the league. Teams began incorporating more versatile roles into their rosters, emphasizing footwork, positioning, and mental fortitude to prepare players for facing opponents like O'Neal. Coaches and trainers adopted new training methods that focused on agility drills and improved shot blocking techniques, recognizing the need to adapt to the physical and strategic challenges posed by giants like O'Neal. By the time he joined the Miami Heat in 2004, O'Neal had become a model of how to integrate both offensive and defensive capabilities in a single player. His presence on the court changed not just how teams played, but also how they were structured and prepared. The Heat's success under Pat Riley further solidified O'Neal's legacy as a game-changer. In the subsequent seasons, other centers attempted to emulate O'Neal's unique blend of size and skill, leading to an evolution in the way forwards and centers were developed. Players were encouraged to develop guard-like skills, while maintaining their traditional post-play advantages. This shift in thinking contributed significantly to the modernization of the NBA and its continued relevance as one of the world's most popular sports leagues. Despite the rule changes and evolving defensive strategies, no team could replicate the sheer terror felt when facing Shaquille O'Neal at his peak. His physicality, combined with a basketball IQ that allowed him to make split-second decisions, made him an almost unguardable presence on the court. As the years passed, the memory of his brilliance lingered among players, coaches, and fans alike, serving as a benchmark for what it meant to be a true basketball force. Following Shaquille O'Neal's arrival at the Los Angeles Lakers in 1996, the team's strategy underwent a significant transformation under the guidance of Pat Riley. The legendary coach recognized that O'Neal's presence alone could alter the dynamics of any defensive scheme. In the early years, Riley focused on integrating O'Neal into the offense while utilizing his physical prowess defensively. However, as the 2000 to 2001 season progressed, O'Neal's dominance became more apparent. His ability to score in the paint with ease and dominate double teams created an almost unguardable force. Even top defenders struggled against him, often finding themselves overwhelmed by his sheer size and strength. One notable example came during the playoffs when New Jersey Nets employed a zone defense, but found it ineffective against O'Neal's relentless offensive presence. The turning point arrived in the 2001 NBA Finals where O'Neal faced off against the Philadelphia 76ers. After the first few games, the Sixers adopted a new approach, attempting to foul O'Neal aggressively at the free throw line. This tactic, known as the hack-a-Shaq, aimed to wear down his stamina and reduce his effectiveness from the field. However, it backfired spectacularly for the Sixers as O'Neal went 38-4-41 from the free throw line in Game 5. This performance not only secured the Lakers' victory that night, but also highlighted the inherent flaws in such strategies. In response to O'Neal's unprecedented success, the league was forced to adapt its rules. The NBA modified the hack-a-Shaq tactic, limiting the number of fouls per player and adjusting the free throw line regulations. These changes aimed to prevent teams from using the strategy excessively, ensuring fair play and maintaining competitive balance within the sport. As the season progressed, O'Neal continued to dominate on both ends of the court. His presence alone made opponents rethink their defensive approaches, leading to a shift towards more flexible and adaptable tactics. Coaches began emphasizing footwork, positioning, and mental fortitude over brute strength, recognizing that O'Neal's game required a nuanced understanding of basketball. By the time the Lakers achieved their second consecutive championship in 2002, the impact of O'Neal's unguardable nature had become clear. Teams no longer relied solely on physical confrontations. Instead, they focused on integrating various defensive strategies to mitigate his influence. The Lakers' success during this period solidified O'Neal's reputation as one of the most dominant players in NBA history, shaping modern basketball tactics and leaving an indelible mark on the sport. With Shaquille O'Neal's arrival on the scene, the Los Angeles Lakers underwent a transformation that would alter not just their fortunes, but those of the entire NBA landscape. At the time, the Lakers were in disarray, having finished second to last in the Pacific Division for 3 straight seasons before O'Neal's debut in 1996. His presence revitalized both the team's spirit and its financial outlook. In his first season, despite playing through significant injuries, O'Neal still managed to lead the NBA in field goal percentage, contributing 23.7 points per game while grabbing an impressive 12.8 rebounds. The partnership between O'Neal and Karl Malone proved unstoppable as they led the Lakers back into contention almost immediately. However, it wasn't just on the court where O'Neal made waves. He also became a major asset off it. O'Neal's popularity surged, making him one of the most marketable athletes in sports. This translated directly into significant endorsement deals, securing him lucrative contracts from brands like Nike, Gatorade, and Pepsi. By 2000, his deal with Nike was reportedly worth around $40 million over 5 years, cementing his status as a powerhouse brand ambassador. The success of the Lakers under O'Neal's leadership also had broader implications for the league's economics. As the team began to win consistently, attendance at Staples Center soared. In the 2000 to 2001 season alone, The Lakers averaged more than 17,500 fans per game, nearly double their average from the previous year. These numbers translated into increased television ratings, driving up Nielsen ratings and ultimately boosting the NBA's overall revenue significantly. Moreover, the success of the Lakers and Shaq became an impetus for other teams to invest heavily in free agency. Teams that failed to secure a superstar like O'Neal saw their competitive balance shift dramatically. For instance, the Miami Heat, recognizing the value of having such a dominant player, signed O'Neal after his stint with the Lakers in 2003, bringing home another championship in 2006. O'Neal's impact extended beyond just his playing days. His dominance led to changes within the sport itself. The introduction of stricter zone defense rules and the infamous hack-a-Shaq tactic, which was employed frequently during the 2001 finals against New Jersey Nets star Jason Kidd, resulted in a strategic arms race among coaches and players alike. Defenses had to adapt by employing different formations and techniques to counter O'Neal's unparalleled size and strength. In the aftermath of these adjustments, O'Neal continued to thrive, often outscoring entire teams in single quarters. His physical mismatch made him almost unguardable, forcing opponents to rethink their defensive strategies and leading to innovations that would shape modern basketball tactics. As the narrative unfolded, it became clear that Shaquille O'Neal's presence was more than just a personal achievement. It was a pivotal moment in the history of professional basketball. From reshaping team dynamics and altering free agency priorities to influencing rule changes and driving economic growth, O'Neal's legacy left an indelible mark on the game. In the present day, Shaquille O'Neal remains an iconic figure in the world of basketball, his legacy continuing to shape the game long after his final shot. The Los Angeles Lakers, now under new ownership and management, look back on their three-peat era as both a testament to team chemistry and an early example of the strategic challenges posed by a dominant force like O'Neal. The Miami Heat, where O'Neal won his fourth championship, continue to benefit from his influence on the sport. Team executives discuss how O'Neal's presence helped transform the franchise, attracting star players and setting a precedent for future success. General manager Mark Eisen often mentions how O'Neal's ability to dominate the paint and draw fouls reshaped defensive strategies, making zone defense a more common sight in the league. Across the NBA, teams have adapted to the physical mismatch O'Neal represented. Defensive schemes have evolved, with coaches emphasizing quicker footwork and more versatile skills among their guards and forwards. Analysts and experts attribute this evolution partly to O'Neal's reign, highlighting the need for multi-positional players who can guard multiple spots on the court. The hack-a-Shaq tactic, once a common strategy against him, is now largely obsolete due to rule changes that penalize excessive foul calls on big men. Despite this, former players still recall the psychological impact of facing O'Neal, noting how his sheer size and strength could unsettle even the most experienced defenders. Former teammate Karl Malone often reminisces about the camaraderie they shared during those championships, praising not just O'Neal's talent, but also his leadership and sportsmanship off the court. In interviews, current players like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic speak of studying O'Neal's game, drawing inspiration from his dominance in the lane. The younger generation of players acknowledges the challenges he presented, particularly in terms of guarding an opponent who seemed unguardable at times. The financial impact of O'Neal's era cannot be overstated either. His endorsements and marketability significantly boosted the Lakers' revenue streams, which in turn influenced other teams to focus more heavily on free agency and player contracts. As league officials discuss these past dynamics, there is a sense of nostalgia mixed with respect for O'Neal's contributions. Even as the landscape of basketball continues to evolve thanks in part to the strategic shifts initiated by Shaquille O'Neal's prime years, the legacy of his dominance remains a cornerstone of NBA lore, continuing to resonate within the sport and beyond. As the golden age of Shaquille O'Neal began to wane, the question for the Lakers and the league became clear. How could they maintain their competitive edge without him? After O'Neal's departure following the 2003 season, the Los Angeles team struggled through several rebuilds, each time searching for the key that would unlock championship glory once more. With O'Neal's physicality and presence now a distant memory, the league adapted its defense, embracing smaller lineups and faster-paced defenses that aimed to negate his strengths. The transition years saw numerous scenarios playing out. First, there were the attempts to replicate O'Neal's success with other dominant centers like Yao Ming and Dwight Howard. Yao Ming's potential never fully materialized due to injuries, while Howard faced the same challenges in adjusting to NBA competition after an illustrious college career. In Miami, however, the situation was different. After O'Neal left, the Heat under Pat Riley found a new star in Dwayne Wade. Together with Udonis Haslem, they formed a dynamic trio that guided the team back to prominence. The 2012 to 2013 season saw them challenge for the Eastern Conference title before ultimately falling just short against the Indiana Pacers. This run showed how far the league had evolved since the days of Shaq, with speed and skill becoming more paramount than sheer size and power. The absence of O'Neal also reshaped the landscape of free agency. Without him as a top draw, the market shifted towards players who could bring a well-rounded game to any roster. LeBron James, having spent 6 years in Cleveland without much success, eventually opted for a change of scenery in 2010, choosing the Miami Heat alongside his former Cleveland teammates, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. The decision to bring 3 superstar players to Miami transformed the league's dynamics, setting off a competitive arms race among teams eager to match or outshine LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. For the Lakers, the search for another dominant presence began anew. Despite several attempts to land stars like Chris Bosh and Carmelo Anthony, the Lakers remained in limbo. Their financial situation further complicated matters, as high salaries for established players left limited room for new additions. The Lakers finally found a spark when they acquired Derek Fisher and Pau Gasol during the 2011 to 2012 season. Although these moves did not immediately produce a championship, they laid the groundwork for future successes under Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant. As Shaquille O'Neal moved into retirement, the legacy he left behind continued to shape NBA strategy and economics. Teams began to prioritize defensive versatility over raw power, with smaller but quicker defenders becoming more valued. The era of one-on-one dominance had given way to team-oriented play, emphasizing ball movement and player versatility. This shift reflected not only the changing nature of the game, but also the broader economic trends that influenced how teams structured their rosters. In the end, while the Lakers and Heat managed to continue competing at a high level without O'Neal, the question lingered: could any single player ever match his unique combination of size, strength, and skill? As the league evolved, so too did its approach to defense, rules, and player development. Shaq's impact on basketball was undeniable. His presence and performance set the stage for a new generation of stars who would carry forward the spirit of competition in their own distinct ways. The impact of Shaquille O'Neal on basketball cannot be overstated. His presence in the paint redefined the game for the late 1990s and early 2000s. As the Orlando Magic drafted him in 1992, little did they know that he would soon become one of the most formidable forces in the league. Over his career, O'Neal won 4 championships, 3 with the Los Angeles Lakers, and 1 with the Miami Heat, each title a testament to his dominance both individually and as a team leader. O'Neal's physicality was unmatched. Standing at 7 feet 1 inch and weighing around 325 pounds, he moved with the grace of a guard, making it nearly impossible for opponents to handle him one-on-one. Opponents struggled to find a solution. Double teams often failed due to his sheer size and strength. Even when 2 players attempted to contain him, their efforts were futile against his agility and timing. The NBA took notice, adapting its defensive strategies to accommodate this new reality. Zone defenses became more prevalent as teams sought to limit O'Neal's scoring opportunities by spreading out defenders. Additionally, the hack-a-Shaq tactic emerged as a last resort, where opponents would intentionally foul him to take advantage of his free-throw shooting shortcomings. This strategy, while effective in reducing O'Neal's points per game, further emphasized his importance to any opponent's lineup. Upon leaving the Lakers, the impact on the team was immediate. They struggled to replicate O'Neal's unique skill set, leading them to pivot towards acquiring players like Derek Fisher and Pau Gasol during the 2011 to 2012 season. Meanwhile, Pat Riley led the Miami Heat to success with Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem, leveraging their talents to fill the void left by O'Neal. LeBron James' move to Miami alongside Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh marked another significant shift in how dominant centers could be managed. The league began favoring smaller, quicker players over traditional power forwards, reflecting changes not only in playing style, but also in player development and scouting practices. Shaquille O'Neal's legacy extends beyond his individual achievements. He shaped modern NBA tactics, influenced economic decisions within the league, and transformed player development programs. His reign demonstrated that a dominant center could dominate the game in ways previously unseen, challenging teams to evolve continually. As we reflect on Shaq's era, it is clear that he left an indelible mark on basketball history. With so much more to explore and discuss about his impact, we invite you to continue following our journey through the annals of the game. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Shaq's dominance, please consider subscribing to our channel for future documentaries that delve into other pivotal moments in sports history. As the clock struck midnight, the era of Shaquille O'Neal began its slow descent into history. The once terrifying presence in the paint had transformed, his dominance waning but still casting a long shadow over the league. With 4 championships, including 3 consecutive victories with the Los Angeles Lakers from 2000 to 2002, O'Neal had rewritten the playbook for center play. His sheer size and lightning-fast movements made him an unguardable force, turning defense into a chore more akin to herding cats. Upon leaving the Lakers in 2003 after being traded to the Miami Heat, the landscape shifted. Pat Riley's vision, bolstered by the acquisition of Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem, led the Heat to a championship in 2006. But it was clear that without the towering O'Neal, traditional strategies needed adjustment. Zone defenses proliferated, teams doubling down on their opponents before resorting to the infamous hack-a-Shaq tactic, a last-ditch attempt to deter O'Neal's scoring prowess through relentless fouls. These changes reflected not just defensive strategy, but also the broader evolution of the NBA itself. Smaller, quicker players like LeBron James and Dwayne Wade rose to prominence, altering the dynamics of team composition and gameplay. James' arrival in Miami marked yet another shift, combining athleticism with intelligence to counteract the physicality that once defined O'Neal's game. The legacy of Shaquille O'Neal is profound. His impact on basketball strategy, player development, and the very fabric of the league cannot be overstated. His presence reshaped how teams guarded centers and influenced the creation of new tactics and rules. From his days as an Orlando Magic rookie in 1992 to his final years with the Miami Heat, O'Neal was more than just a player. He was a force that forever changed the landscape of professional basketball. As we reflect on this chapter of NBA history, remember why Prime Shaq was so terrifying to face. Whether it was the thunderous dunks that sent ripples through arenas or the strategic adaptations that followed, O'Neal left an indelible mark on the sport. If you've enjoyed this journey through the unguardable legend, subscribe to our channel for more documentaries diving into the heart of what made some legends truly unforgettable.
Before you close this, go back to that screen time number one more time because it is about to repeat itself all over again. Next Sunday, it says the same thing. The Sunday after that, too. It has been saying the same thing for years and paying you nothing. The number does not have to shrink for this to work. It only has to happen somewhere that pays for finished videos. Setting that up starts in the first comment below, on the pinned link, while the number's still fresh in your head. Or point your phone camera at the code on the screen, which takes about 3 seconds and skips the typing. Close this and next week the number is identical. Only you will have seen it and decided it was fine.